what that group does, so to speak?
Well, the European Commission is the executive arm of the European Union and the regulatory arm of the European Union. And what this means is that, first of all, they are the ones who propose regulation. They propose it to the Parliament and to the Council. And so they have a huge staff dedicated to write these policies. And they are the executive arm because they are the people who make the payments out of the budget for these projects, that have been included in the budget to be concluded or, finalized. So they have massive power. At the top of this European Commission, you have this College of Commissioners, which is made of today 27 commissioners, one from each member country. And they have different portfolios. So you have the commissioner in charge of economic affairs, of internal market, of external policies, of agriculture, of development, of budget. There are in total 34 directors general, 34 portfolios, let us say. So sometimes, there is a commissioners in charge of more than one portfolio. Now, and these 27 commissioners make up this College of Commissioners, which is, in theory, the highest authority in the European Union. And obviously they have power. Now, under these commissioners, you have the directors general, which are high-level civil servants. And these people are, in my view and from my experience inside the Commission, the ones who really hold the power. How do they hold the power? Well, they receive the funds from the member countries, and they can use them in the way they wish. Now, if there was control, they would have to use them just for the purposes that are defined in the budget. But as there is no control, the money is sometimes used for other purposes. And my conclusion is that they pay the subsidies to the people who show allegiance. So basically what they're gaining through the use of the budget is through their discretionary use of the budget, they are gaining power for themselves.
And are the commissioners voted in place, or how do they end up on that position?
Well, the commissioners, what happens is that they come and go every 5 years. So by the time they realize that something is not altogether right, they probably have spent 1 year in the job and have signed a lot of papers that they shouldn't have signed, or have agreed to certain things that they shouldn't have agreed. So, they are sort of involved in the irregularities themselves, and therefore will not really expose anything. They also tend to take little responsibility for what's going on in their specific portfolio. And to tell you the truth, there is no real code of conduct that ties them tightly to the portfolio, to the responsibility on their portfolio. Just now, I can tell you that there has been a study made by the Parliament on the code of conduct of the commissioners, which they have been delaying for months now without having a final discussion, in the aim that there is no new code of conduct agreed before the nomination of the new commission, which is appalling.
So how is I guess that what you're saying here as well is that the money today is being spent on all kinds of projects that are dedicated to expanding the European Union, so to speak. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And by the way, I wanted to check with you as well if you heard about the Galvin report.
No.
This is an audit that was taken place of 160 EU Parliament members back in 2008, For those who want to read more about that, by the way, which is a really interesting report, I'm going to link this up on our website so people can take a look at it. But that's another thing that we can leave for now then, Marta. But in regards to this other frauds, the expenditures and so forth, is there something more you can say about that and what you see things are heading, so to speak, if this continues? Maybe you can even let us know who's taken over your role after you left as an accountant.
Well, you probably have heard or have read in my book that I was the first qualified accountant to be on the job. So my predecessors were different professions, but not accountants. One was a jurist and another one was an architect and whatever. And after I left, there was a succession of three chief accountants. So basically in 1 year in total, counting me and the one who stayed after, for a longer time, there were 5 chief accountants of the European Union in 1 year, which is amazing.
Yes.
So my successor again was not an accountant, and then the successor of my successor was not an accountant, and then there was a third one who was a qualified accountant. And this person has been there now for 5 years and is now moving to become the Director General of Internal Audit. But this person has been somebody who has made his career inside the Commission. So he's been there maybe 35 years or even 40 years with the Commission. And I think that the Commission, what they learned from my experience was that they would never hire anybody from the outside.
Yes.
Which creates two kinds of problems. One is that, you don't bring any fresh air into the Commission. You don't bring any fresh methodology. People who work in the Commission have departed from the real world, so they really don't know how business works out of the European Union. Something that is also applicable to how they develop policies. People who have never had experience in certain areas develop policies to regulate those areas, which I find pretty incredible. Anyway, they don't bring fresh ideas and fresh technology, and at the same time they have this permanent allegiance of the people who perform the job, because these people are afraid of losing a whole career.
Yes.
And a job paid in an amount that they couldn't get out of the European Union.
You're mentioning some of the technology. Are you referring to computer systems, infrastructure, or what do you mean when you're talking about implementation of certain type of technology within the EU?
Well, fundamentally, it's the computer system.
Yeah.
I mean, when I joined the Commission, I was shocked to find that the computer system was totally undeveloped and that it didn't interface properly. And I think that, when you think about reform in the ages we are living, the first thing you need to think about is technology, because, you could put as many principles and procedures as you wish, but if you don't have the technology to cope with these procedures, then there's no use on having these procedures.
Yes.
And they made an issue of certain procedures they were about to put in place, but I could see very clearly that they didn't have the technology, that the technology, the software developed was done internally by people who, again, have no experience of the outer world, were not accountants, were not IT people, professional IT people. So, it was quite awkward, really. And I think they insist in doing this, whereas I was aware when I joined that the European Union had requested a famous German software company to develop a solution for the European Union budget, to manage the budget and do the accounting, and that this had been paid and the licenses had been bought. But instead of using the whole product, they were just using the central model, the central accounting, whereas all the other modules that should have been used to introduce the transactions were left aside, unused, and another module